6 games down, and Indiana's been the biggest surprise of the season. First place in the Big Ten, 16th in the AP poll, and now for the first time in 3 years, they sold out their stadium. Signetti brought in proven winners, experienced starters, and NFL talent, but he's yet to see the best this conference has to offer. Nebraska started hot, then fell into the shadows, but winning on the road in a big noon kickoff game is exactly what this team needs to earn back what they lost. They might be the dog, but Matt Rule knows his guys can win this game. So today we'll talk about the matchup, how to crash IU's party, and what this game means for both sides. But what's up, guys? I'm Connor Hayden, and this is Corn Crazed. If you're a fan of Nebraska or the Big Ten, hit the subscribe button to help us get to 23,000. And if you think they can pull off the upset on the road, hit the like button to help us get to 1,000. But now, let's get into it.
He's hit and he's taking a shot downfield, wide open end zone, caught, touchdown.
Now that we've seen some of the better teams in the conference play each other, the Big Ten standings are starting to take shape. And this week, you've got 3 teams sitting in first place with 6 others tied for second. Penn State needed a huge second half to escape SC. Oregon rode the crowd energy to a massive home win, and Indiana had the week off. But I don't know that any of those 3 at the top can stay undefeated. Oregon still got to go to Purdue, Michigan, and Wisconsin. Then they host Illinois and a rival in Washington. They'll be the favorite in all 6, but that doesn't mean they're going to win all of them. After Nebraska, IU gets Washington, Michigan, and Purdue at home, but they head to East Lansing and Columbus where anything's possible. Win this week, and there's a world where they only finish with 1 loss, but lose, and they're in danger of dropping at least 2 more. Penn State actually has an insane opportunity. They have to win at Wisconsin and Minnesota, but 2 of their toughest games against Ohio State and Washington are both at home. Split those, and this is a 1-loss team playing in the Big Ten championship. As far as the rest of the conference goes, that second group still controls their destiny. So if Nebraska, Michigan, Illinois, or Iowa can pull off the win this week, they're still at the top in the Big Ten race. I want to get to what's at stake for both these programs, one that's building on tradition and the other trying to forge a new path. But before we go there, I got to shout out Prize Picks for sponsoring today's video. One of our subscribers turned $20 into $400 with this 6-leg Friday night lineup. Then I saw 5 more winners posted in the Discord over the weekend. Add in a few lineups that I took on our live stream last Thursday, and the Corn Craze community had a big week. If you haven't made an account on the app yet, you can sign up with our promo code CORN and get $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. And you don't even have to win to get that $50 promo. This week, they're offering Anthony Edwards to score 1 point against the Lakers as a free square, so make sure you add that in this week to get a free win. Prize Picks is available in Nebraska, California, Texas, and over 30 other states, so if you see your state colored in, you can play there. The Nebraska players' lines aren't up yet, so I'm going to give out my picks on the Friday night live stream. But if you have a good read for which players are about to have a big game or you think somebody's going to struggle, you can use our promo code for the $50 bonus and join us over there. For the first time in over 50 years, IU's off to a 6-0 start. The AP poll has them at 16th ahead of Kansas State and Ole Miss, but a win this weekend would push them into the top 15 before back-to-back games with Washington and Michigan State. I actually think there's an argument that a 7-0 Indiana would be the favorite in 4 of their last 5, and they might even end up playing for the Big Ten title in Signetti's first season. On the flip side, a loss at home to an unranked opponent would be brutal. Their schedule's weak as it is, so it would take a near perfect finish to still contend for the playoff. No matter how it goes, IU's already exceeded every expectation they had back in August, so the only pressure to win is coming from the locker room. Nebraska's had an impressive start too, but because the expectations were so high in September, all the hype cooled down with a loss, and most of the media thinks they've got an 8-win ceiling. Win is a 7-point dog in Bloomington, and they're still in contention for a 3rd-place finish. But more importantly, Rule's team has a legit shot at winning 10 games. A loss would likely mean 2 in a row since Ohio State's next week. They'll still have a chance to win their last 4 to get to 9 wins, but if you can't win at IU, how can you expect to win at USC or Iowa? You can't. In an era where you can afford a couple losses during the regular season, this still feels like a must-win for both programs. To really understand Indiana's quick turnaround, you got to go back to last season. Curtis Rourke and receiver Miles Cross helped lead Ohio to a 10-win season. Elijah Surratt, Tyson Lawton, and 7 other Indiana starters were part of an 11-win team at James Madison. Signetti didn't just go and find ready-made starters in the portal. He found guys that knew how to win. After back-to-back 10-win seasons, Rourke left Ohio with over 7,000 yards as a passer and picked up right where he left off. He's completing 74% of his passes and already has over 1,700 yards, which means he's on track for his best year yet. The O-line's only given up 6 sacks and ranks in the top 10 for tackles for loss allowed. Elijah Surratt and Omar Cooper are averaging almost 18 and 21 yards a catch with 900 yards between the two, but the room's deeper than that. IU's got 5 receivers with at least 10 catches and 180 yards, and that's just the receiving core, not the running backs or the tight ends. What makes their passing game so dangerous is the different options they have. Each guy has a different skill set, and unlike Nebraska, who's had a hard time getting their weapons in space, IU always has somebody open. Part of the reason they've been so successful through the air is because of their running backs, and like Nebraska, they've got 4 they can trust. Justice Ellison and Tyson Lawton split reps and average almost 6 yards a carry. The 2 backups don't play as often, but they're up to 7.5 a carry with 5 TDs of their own. I hear people say Indiana doesn't have as much depth since they're built through the portal, but the offensive skill ranks top 4 in the Big Ten. What makes Rourke dangerous is his experience. He's 6'5", mobile enough to extend plays, and he won't force throws. He has 2 picks so far, but you rarely see him throw to a guy unless he's got space to make a move after the catch. To win Saturday, Nebraska's going to have to get pressure and force him to make a decision early. IU's offense ranks 4th nationally with over 500 yards a game because nobody gets pressure. Maryland and Northwestern both allowed over 350 through the air and 150 on the ground because their lines never broke through. Nebraska's strength is their front 7. Ty Robinson and James Williams are tied for 2nd in the Big Ten with 4 sacks each. The team ranks 7th nationally and 1st in the Big Ten with 20 total. They're 18th with 42 tackles for loss, and the one team they've played with comparable numbers on defense is Northwestern, who kept it close with IU till the 4th quarter. Sierra Wright's been playing like an all Big Ten caliber corner. Tommy Hill's expected to play after missing the last 2 games. And even though the Blackshirts had some struggles against Illinois, I don't think the Indiana O-line's going to hold up as well. Switching over to the defense, IU ranks 6th nationally, but 4 of the 5 offenses they faced rank in the bottom 30. Maryland's the outlier there, ranking 43rd, but even though they finished with over 400 yards total offense, their defense gave up 42 points and they just couldn't match. Nebraska's main issue has been inconsistency. They have a high-powered passing game at times. They can run the ball downhill or get it outside with Ja'Cory Barney at times. They just haven't been able to put it together for an entire game. Receivers struggle to get open. Running backs have a hard time finding holes. Raiola flashes with some elite throws, but then against Rutgers, we saw a second-half meltdown. To beat Indiana, this offense has to get to 24, because as much as I want to believe the D can take over, I watched Illinois move it at will in the 4th quarter. Looking at who has the edge, IU wins on offense. They've got the better QB, more weapons at receiver, explosive running backs, and an average O-line. You can blame blocking, the OC, the receivers. It doesn't matter. Nebraska's underachieving with the talent they've got on that side of the ball. On defense, Nebraska's deeper and stacked with NFL talent. They're ranked 13th nationally, which is 7 spots behind IU, but they've played much better offenses with elite skill talent. They don't kick it often, but Indiana's 4 for 4 with field goals and averages 44 yards a punt. It's just another week where Nebraska loses on special teams by default. Signetti and Rule both come in with years of experience, winning at 3 different schools, but it's hard to say which coach is better. Sig's been successful out the gate, but he's really just picking up where he left off since he was able to bring in so many proven transfers. And last is their motivation. IU's hosting Big Noon Kickoff as a top 20 team in front of a sold-out crowd. They're still playing the underdog role in their minds since most of these players have never beaten a blue blood opponent. Nebraska's still looking for Rule's first top 25 win and their first bowl game in 8 seasons. Add in the fact that they're the underdog and you've got 2 teams desperate to prove it on Saturday. The line started at 3, then it got all the way to 7, but right now Nebraska's getting 6.5. The energy feels really similar to what we saw when Nebraska hosted Illinois. One team appeared dominant, had home field advantage, and the public loved them. Now there's an argument that IU deserves this much respect since they've never trailed in the game this year, can score all 4 quarters, and have 3 Big Ten wins, but Nebraska could win outright just like Illinois did. The total suggests a 28-21 Indiana win, which wouldn't surprise me given Nebraska's struggle to score the last 2 weeks, but my gut says this team plays up or down to their level of competition and won't look as bad as the last couple times we saw them, so I'm going to take the points and I'm going to stay off the total. My biggest concern with Indiana is that Curtis Rourke never feels pressure, even against a strong pass rush. He's thrown for over 9,000 yards in his career and played out every scenario possible. I think most people assume Nebraska's D-line is going to be the strongest unit on the field, which is probably true, but I saw what Luke Altmaier did with a couple good receivers, and I think Rourke's even better. The defense has to show up and hold IU to less than 30, but if Nebraska's going to win, it's going to come down to Raiola and the offense. They're bottom 30 in red zone scoring. They're second in the Big Ten with 47 penalties. In games against Colorado, Purdue, and Rutgers, 3 teams ranked 74th or worse in total defense. Nebraska's offense only averaged 18 points a game. You cannot beat Indiana unless you can hit 24. And that's if the defense plays lights out. I love that Nebraska won a close game, and I'm sure it did wonders for their confidence. But Cignetti and most of the starters on his team have been doing that for years. Indiana's built to win under pressure, and the scariest part is they haven't had to. Off a bye, both teams should be healthy, but if Nebraska gets Mazuka and Tommy Hill back, they're going to benefit more since those are 2 of the best players on the team who've missed the last 3 weeks. For Indiana, this is their opportunity to prove that they belong. It's a chance to extend their streak and earn national respect with a win over a bigger brand. But this is Nebraska. Their line's a problem. The linebackers tackle well, and the DBs look the best they have since Rule got there. IU wants a shootout, but they're not going to get one. This scoring explosion comes to a screeching halt on Saturday, and if their offense gets frustrated that things aren't going to plan, Tony White's D can take advantage of mistakes or force plays. As a football fan, it's really hard to pick against Cignetti, especially at home. But as a Nebraska fan, watching the team fight through adversity to still find a way to win back-to-back weeks gives you a lot of confidence. If Maryland and Northwestern could put up 3 and 400 yards of offense, what do you think Nebraska can do? Raiola hasn't hit 300 yards passing yet, but this week that changes. And even with Ohio State on deck, nobody's calling this a look-ahead spot because it's the game this team's been waiting for. So give me Nebraska 28-24 to get that top 25 ranking before a college game day matchup with Ohio State and Columbus. And while the rest of the country expected IU to roll at home in front of their sold-out crowd, we knew Nebraska presented a much different challenge than what their team's gotten used to. I'm doing a Thursday night live stream with a special guest to break down Indiana, so hopefully I see you there. But I want to know what you think, so let me know in the comments below. Is this point spread fair, or is that too many to give to a top 15 defense? Does Indiana's home crowd give them a significant edge, or are they a non-factor? And what's your number one concern about this week? I think the Illinois passing game opened my eyes to some flaws on defense. So with an even better QB and just as many weapons on offense, I'm really hoping the secondary plays at a high level. But that's all I've got for today. So until next time, thank you for being here, and I will see you in the next one. Go Big Red.